I was 10,000 miles from home, ducking behind concrete barriers while the sky above Iraq split with gunfire. And all I could think about was her. My wife, my anchor, my reason for coming back alive. What I didn't know was that while I was fighting to stay breathing, she was back home fighting to catch her breath under another man. And when I found out, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I planned. Every sleepless night became a blueprint for revenge, a quiet, methodical kind of justice. By the time my boots touched American soil again, she didn't have a car, a job, or a single dollar left to her name. If you've ever been betrayed, if someone ever made you question whether you were enough, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because this isn't just a story about revenge. It's about justice, survival, and what happens when karma finally decides to clock in. When you sign your life over to the army, the first thing you lose is control. Your time, your choices, even your sense of what normal means. It all belongs to someone else. But the one thing you cling to is the world waiting for you back home. For me, that world was Aaron. We'd been married 6 years, long enough to think we knew each other's rhythms. We didn't have kids yet, but we'd planned every detail, down to the baby names, scribbled on the back of a takeout menu taped to our fridge. On quiet Sunday mornings, she'd curl up beside me on the couch, tracing lazy circles on my chest, and talk about someday. Someday meant a little house with peeling paint, maybe a dog, me grilling in the backyard while she laughed at how badly I burned burgers. When the deployment orders came through, I thought we were strong enough. She cried when she read them, her hands trembling so hard the paper crackled. "I can't lose you," she whispered, her breath warm against my neck. "You won't," I promised. "It's just a year, then I'm home for good." We built a plan like any sensible couple would. She'd move back to our hometown, stay with her best friend, Jenna. Rent would be cheap, $300 a month, and with my hazard pay, we could finally crush our debt. When I got back, we'd be free. We'd start that family we kept daydreaming about. I remember our last morning together in brutal detail. The taste of burnt coffee, the smell of her shampoo on my uniform collar, the way sunlight caught the tears on her cheeks as she tried to smile. At the airport, she gripped my sleeve so tight I could feel her nails through the fabric. "Promise you'll come back to me," she said. "Always," I told her. And I meant it. I watched her through the glass as I walked toward security, her small frame in a crowded terminal, waving until she couldn't see me anymore. I carried that image like armor. Deployment compresses you. The heat, the dust, the noise, they turn months into blurs. Every morning started with the same metallic taste of adrenaline, the same routine checks, the same half-joking, half-serious prayers that we'd all make it through another day. At first, Erin's voice was the tether that kept me human. She called every night when the connection held, her voice soft and careful, like she was afraid to break. We'd talk about nonsense, what she cooked, how the dog we used to watch for Friends had puppies, what shows she was binging. I lived for those calls. Then, slowly, they started to shrink. A call that used to last an hour became 20 minutes. Then 10. Her laughter faded. Her words thinned. "Yeah, okay, fine." At first, I thought it was the lag in connection, maybe the exhaustion that hits both sides of a deployment. But one night when I said, "I love you," she paused long enough that the silence roared louder than mortar. "I just need some space," she finally said that. I blinked at the radio handset, not sure I'd heard right. Space? "Aaron, I'm 10,000 miles away. How much more space do you need?" Her voice went flat. "I just need to find myself. Don't make this harder." Click. The line went dead. I sat there, helmet off, sweat cooling on my scalp, the generator humming behind me. Men around me joked, smoked, played cards. I stared into the sand-dark horizon and wondered how the woman who used to write me love notes in Sharpie on my MRE boxes had turned into a stranger asking for space. Weeks crawled by. Every message she sent felt smaller, emptier. Then, during a rare off-duty stretch, I logged onto Facebook, something I almost never did anymore. That's when I saw them. A photo of Erin at a backyard cookout. Sunlight in her hair, red Solo cup in hand. Surrounded by familiar faces from our hometown, except one face stood out. Mark. He was always there back then, the friendly guy who joked too much, lingered too long. She used to call him harmless. I used to believe her. In the photo, his arm was slung around her chair, his smile smug, like he'd already won a prize. I told myself it was innocent. A reunion? Coincidence. But photo after photo kept showing up. Different settings. Same arm, same grin. Same man. The soldier in me, the one who trusts instincts over excuses, knew something was wrong. I tried to shake it off, but I couldn't focus. On patrol, I caught myself drifting, replaying every conversation we'd ever had about Mark. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I turned my training on my own wife. We'd been briefed on T-Mobile's digit service, a way to mirror communication lines for operational purposes. I set it up quietly, using her secondary line information. Within minutes, every text she sent or received came to me as well. I told myself I'd check once, clear the doubt, and move on. But the first message I intercepted froze me solid. Hey babe, I'll see you after work. Want me to save you any leftovers? Babe. Leftovers. Routine. My pulse hammered. I waited for follow-up, praying it was a miss-send. Then it came. Can't wait to see you tonight. You always make me feel so loved. I scrolled, hands shaking. Can't wait to start our family. Family. She was planning a family with him. My throat went dry. I couldn't breathe. I shut the screen off, stared at my for a long time. I just sat there while the world outside the tent carried on, engines idling, men laughing, someone's music crackling through cheap speakers. Inside me, something caved in. Over the next week, I barely ate. The desert stripped weight off me faster than grief already was. 30-5 pounds, gone in days. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her messages replaying like a slideshow from hell. I stopped writing back. I stopped calling. She didn't notice for days. When she finally did, her texts came sharp and defensive. Why are you being weird? You don't even sound like yourself anymore. You're not the same guy I married. No, I wasn't. The guy she married had believed in forever. The guy reading her messages was learning how to weaponize silence. I told no one, because how do you explain that you're losing a war you can't even admit exists? 2 months after that first intercepted text, she finally confessed, but not because guilt ate at her. Because cruelty did. It was late at night on base. The wind outside screamed through the tent scenes. My phone buzzed. I need to be honest, she wrote. Yeah, I've been seeing someone. He makes me happy. He's better at sex, he listens, he treats me right. I deserve this. I stared at those words until they blurred. No apology. No shame. Just arrogance. Something inside me went very still. It wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was focused, cold, surgical, patient. She thought she'd won. She thought I'd just take it and crumble quietly across the world. But the thing about soldiers, we don't quit. We adapt. That night, under a blood-orange desert moon, I made a promise. When I came home, she'd understand what real loss felt like. She said she wanted space, was about to show her what real distance felt like. When betrayal hits, it doesn't crash into you all at once. It seeps in, slow, silent, poisonous, until one day you wake up and realize you're hollow. Every day after that first text, I lived a double life. By daylight, I was Staff Sergeant Michael, trained, disciplined, reliable. The guy everyone trusted to stay cool under fire. But at night, when the desert went quiet and the only sounds were the hum of generators and faraway gunfire, I became a ghost sitting under the weak yellow glow of my flashlight, scrolling through the ruins of my marriage. Each message between her and Mark felt like a fresh bruise. The playful nicknames, The flirty emojis, the future plans, they weren't just words. They were proof that the woman I'd trusted most had moved on while I was still fighting to stay alive. There's a certain kind of silence in deployment camps. It's heavy. Like the air itself knows what you've lost. Some nights, I'd lie on my cot listening to my bunkmates snore. The desert wind whispering against the tent fabric. In that darkness, I'd imagine her voice, her laugh, the way she used to hum when she cooked. Then I'd see his name light up my phone again, another message from her phone. To him, "You make me feel like I finally matter. You're so much better than him." It's amazing how just a few lines of text can turn a heartbeat into shrapnel. The next morning, I'd drag myself through drills, pretending everything was fine. "Yo, Sarge, you good?" My buddy Lopez asked once, tossing me a bottle of water. I forced a grin. "Yeah, just tired." It became my answer for everything. Because how do you tell someone that while they're worried about IEDs and ambushes, your own wife is detonating bombs back home? Aaron kept texting me like nothing had changed. Small talk, fake warmth, questions about bills. She even sent photos of herself smiling, radiant, her hair different, her makeup heavier, but I noticed the details. A second plate on the table, a man's jacket hanging by the door. Each clue cut a little deeper. She was still using our shared account. Every dollar I earned overseas went into the same pot we'd set up together. At first, she used it for rent, groceries, then came the bigger withdrawals, restaurants, hotels, tattoo parlors, concert tickets. I'd scroll through bank statements during breaks. My jaw locked tight. One charge read, "Forever Ink Studio." A few days later, a picture appeared on her page, her wrist pressed against his, both marked with fresh black ink. Matching tattoos. "I love you," the caption said. I felt something in me go numb. I tried confronting her once, just to hear the truth. "Are you seeing someone?" I asked over a choppy call, my voice shaking more than I wanted it to. She hesitated, just for a breath, then said, "No, I'm just figuring myself out." Figuring herself out? That was her phrase, now her permission slip to burn everything we built. "You sure?" I pressed. "Because Mark seems to be figuring you out just fine too." Her tone flipped from guilty to furious in seconds. "You're paranoid. You're losing it over nothing. Maybe this distance is messing with your head." The call cut out, and I stared at the dead screen, heart pounding in my ears. That's when I realized she wasn't lying to hide something, she was lying to blame. She wanted to make me the villain in her new story. People think soldiers only cry when a friend gets hit, or a mission goes wrong. But that night, I sat alone outside the barracks, looking out at miles of empty sand, and I cried for a woman who was already gone. I didn't sob. I didn't make a sound. Tears just kept falling until they ran dry. I remember tasting the salt, feeling my throat ache, and hating myself for still loving her. I wiped my face with my sleeve and whispered into the dark, "You wanted space, Aaron? You've got the whole damn dessert." Weeks turned into months. I stopped caring about the calendar, stopped marking days until I'd go home. The war outside felt simpler than the one inside me. At least out there, you knew who the enemy was. During downtime, I'd pretend to sleep while my squad mates talked about girlfriends, wives, babies on the way. One guy, Cooper, pulled out a letter his wife sent in little doodles in the margins, perfume on the paper. He caught me watching and grinned. "Man, you're lucky too, huh? Aaron writes as much as mine?" I forced a nod. "Yeah, all the time." But Aaron hadn't written a real letter in months. Just short, cold texts. I envied the men who had someone waiting for them, someone who meant it. Then came that message, the one that killed the last part of me, still holding out hope. "Yeah, I've been seeing someone. He makes me happy. He's better at sex, he listens, he treats me right. I deserve this." I sat on the edge of my cot, staring at the screen. The tent was dim, the air thick with dust. Outside, someone was laughing at a joke I couldn't hear. Read the message again and again, until the letters blurred into static. I didn't reply, didn't yell, didn't break anything. Instead, I opened a notebook and wrote 3 words at the top of a blank page. Operation Silent Dawn. Revenge isn't about rage. Rage makes you sloppy. It's about precision, patience, and soldiers. We're trained for both. So I started planning. I documented everything: screenshots, call logs, timestamps, bank records. I archived every piece of proof until her lies became a map, a perfect, undeniable trail of betrayal. I had months to think, months to turn heartbreak into strategy. I imagined her face when she realized everything she'd built on my dime would crumble. No shouting, no confrontation, just quiet, devastating loss. When my deployment finally neared its end, I started preparing the first strike. I contacted the bank, froze our joint account for security reasons, changed every password she had access to banking, car loans, insurance, even Netflix. I used army jargon and unit codes for every new password. Things only a soldier would understand. There wasn't a chance in hell she'd guess them. Then, I blocked her everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, phone, email gone. To her. I'd vanished. The silence hit her fast. I didn't need to see it to know. I could imagine her panic, credit cards declining, rent unpaid, friends asking questions she couldn't answer, and for the first time in a long time, I really slept. 8 straight hours under a desert sky, dreaming of nothing. When the money stopped flowing, her fantasy life started to rot. First, the car, repossessed within a month. Then, Jenna kicked her out for missing rent and bringing too much drama into the house. She tried couch hopping, then crashed at Mark's place. From the photos I still saw through mutual friends, they looked happy for a while until they didn't. He stopped smiling in pictures. She looked tired. Then the posts stopped altogether. When she finally resurfaced, it was at a cheap restaurant, local joint we'd both worked at in our early 20s. The kind of place where the fryer oil smells like burnt dreams, and the manager yells loud enough for customers to hear. Come full circle right back to where she started before I ever met her. I should have felt satisfied, but all I felt was done, until I realized the story wasn't over yet. She thought she could rebuild her life quietly, but I wasn't just coming home from war. I was bringing the storm with me. When you spend enough nights under desert skies thinking about revenge, the rage stops burning hot. It starts cooling into strategy. I didn't want to hurt her physically. Didn't even want to scream. I wanted her to feel what I had felt in Iraq. The emptiness, the isolation, the gut-deep knowledge that no one was coming to save you. I came home leaner, quieter, harder. People said I looked different, like the war had carved something permanent into my face. They weren't wrong. The man who left for Iraq had faith in promises. The man who came back believed only in consequences. The army teaches you to organize chaos. So I treated revenge like a mission. Step 1, gather intel. Step 2, plan the strike. Step 3, execute cleanly and disappear. I spent nights at my kitchen table, surrounded by paper, my laptop glowing in the dark. Bank statements, screenshots, screens from her mirrored phone showing every filthy text, every love you baby she'd sent to Mark. I cataloged everything into folders, labeled with dates and subjects. The folder name? Operation REDEEEEMER. Each screenshot was a reminder of the life she'd wasted. I wasn't compiling evidence for pity. I was building a weapon. She and Mark thought I was halfway around the world, clueless. Meanwhile, I had their whole romance archived like a case file. By then, her fantasy had already started crumbling. From mutual friends' posts, I saw that Mark's car was gone, replaced with borrowed rides. Their photos together changed to less sparkle, more shadows. He'd look away from the camera. She'd try to smile too hard. That's when I knew karma had clocked in. But I still wanted to make sure everyone saw the truth. One night around 2 a.m., I sat down at my laptop with a cup of black coffee and an eerie calm in my chest. Step 1. Documentation. Step 2. Distribution. I built a post that laid it all out side by side. Screenshots of her messages to him and to me on the same days. On one side, "I love you, babe. Can't wait to start our family." On the other, "Miss you, Mike. Stay safe over there." The timestamps lined up perfectly. 2 parallel worlds in one frame. I didn't add insults or commentary. I didn't need to. Truth, stripped naked, does the damage for you. Then I hit post to our mutual friend group. The reaction hit like artillery fire. Within an hour, comments exploded. "Wait, what? Is this real? Brooke, tell me this isn't Aaron." By morning, the screenshots had been shared across half our hometown. People who'd comforted her during my deployment suddenly went quiet. Her best friend, Jenna, yes, the one she'd been staying with, texted me privately. "Mike, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I kicked her out this morning." Her own family messaged apologies. Even her mom called, crying, telling me she was ashamed. I didn't answer any of them. I didn't need to. The truth was finally public. When word reached her job, the whispers started. Customers stared. Co-workers pulled away. You can hide infidelity behind filters and captions, but not when receipts are public record. She tried to spin the story, saying I'd hacked her, that I was unstable from war. But screenshots with her own timestamps don't lie. Still, I decided karma deserved a helping hand. A few old army buddies owed me favors. I asked them to keep things interesting at her restaurant. One called to complain about her service every few days. Another and his girlfriend dined and dashed. They tipped 0, left messy tables, and made sure the manager noticed. Within a week, both she and Mark were fired. Her little home wreck fantasy collapsed overnight. Then she tried her final weapon. Me. She called my command, claimed I'd abandoned her, that she had no money, that I wasn't supporting her. For about 5 minutes, I panicked. An accusation like that can ruin a soldier's career. But my commander was a seasoned man, one who'd seen the same story too many times. When he called me in, I walked in calm, folder in hand. "Sir, before you say anything, you should see this." I slid the stack of printed evidence across his desk. Texts, bank withdrawals, photos, a timeline. He flipped through it silently, eyebrows rising a little higher with every page. Finally, he shut the folder and looked me dead in the eye. "Son," he said slowly, "I've been there. You're clear. Handle your business and move on." And just like that, her last shot. MISFIRED. A few weeks later, the phone rang. Blocked number. I knew who it was before I even picked up. Her voice cracked through the speaker, high and panicked. "Mike, I don't know where to go. Why are you calling me?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. He laughed. "We fought and I can't stay here. I'm pregnant. I don't have anywhere." Silence stretched long enough that I could hear her sobs turn to hiccups. In my mind, I saw every night I'd begged her for honesty. Every time she looked me in the eye and lied. And now she wanted help. I took a slow breath. "Sorry," I said softly. "Not my problem anymore." Then I hung up. That click, that final sound wasn't cruel. It was closure. Months passed. I didn't think about her much until another unknown number lit up my phone. This time, it was her voice again, smaller, broken. "He hit me," she whispered between sobs. "He actually hit me. I don't know what to do." For a second, I felt that old instinct to protect, to fix. But that man was dead, buried somewhere in the desert. "I'm sorry that happened," I said. "Call the cops." Then I ended the call, because even though she'd wrecked my life, I wasn't going to be the villain in hers. Weeks later came one final message through a mutual friend's number. He cheated on me with 2 girls. "I regret everything. I messed up so bad." Her voice was raw, desperate. I almost felt pity, almost. But all I said was, "Yeah, you did." Then I blocked the number. For good this time. I thought that was the end of the story. But karma wasn't done yet. It still had one last act to play. By the time the final act began, the anger was gone. That white-hot, chest-tight fire that used to keep me awake at night had burned itself out months ago, leaving only embers, cold, steady, and bright enough to see by. All that remained was a strange, quiet sense of acceptance. The mission was complete. The truth was out, and the woman who thought she could shatter me had been left standing in the ruins she built herself. But karma still had work to do. Coming home after deployment is hard for any soldier. There's a strange numbness when the plane touches down and you realize the world kept spinning. Without you. You step off that tarmac into bright American daylight and expect everything to smell like home, but all you get is jet fuel and confusion. The Army trains you for war. It doesn't train you for after. I remember the first night back in my own bed. The silence was suffocating. No radio chatter, no generators, no footsteps on gravel. Just quiet. And in that quiet, her ghost was everywhere. Every corner of that house carried her fingerprints. The framed wedding photo on the dresser. The faint smell of her perfume lingering on a pillow. I couldn't bring myself to throw away even the dent in the couch cushion where she used to sit felt like a wound. I could have boxed everything up right then, but I didn't. I left it all as evidence, not for a court, not for anyone else, just to remind myself that love can be a battlefield too. And sometimes the landmines are the people you trust most. The Army gave me 30 days of leave, 30 days to find a version of myself that existed before the betrayal. I spent the first week sleeping, the second staring at walls, and the third trying to eat without feeling sick. Friends tried to pull me out of it. Let's hit a bar. Man, Lopez said over the phone, you're home, you're alive. Time to live a little. But every time I stepped into public, I felt watched, like everyone knew the story. Like I was still the guy whose wife cheated while he was serving his country. So I stayed in, built a routine. Coffee at 6 a.m., run 2 miles, lift, read. I found comfort in discipline. Structure became therapy. Still, there were nights where I'd wake up gasping, not from nightmares of Iraq, but from dreams of her, smiling, apologizing, asking for forgiveness. I'd roll over, reach for the empty side of the bed, and remind myself she didn't deserve another second of my mind. Karma's slow dance word of her kept finding me whether I wanted it or not. Mutual friends, social media whispers, small updates that painted the same sad picture. Mark left her before the baby was even born. He'd found someone new, someone younger, someone who didn't come with the baggage of betrayal. Apparently, he told her, "What did you expect? You cheated on a soldier. Why would I think you wouldn't cheat on me?" That line stuck with me for weeks, not because it hurt, but because it was poetic. She'd finally been handed her own medicine. No filter, no sugar. She gave birth alone. No husband, no family support, just a hospital bill she couldn't afford. She tried moving back home, but her parents had drawn their own lines after the truth came out. Her dad told her, "You made your bed, Aaron. Now you lie in it." I won't lie, when I first heard that, I laughed, not a mean laugh, just a small, disbelieving one, because that's what karma does. It doesn't scream or announce. It's self-taught. It just waits for you to run out of excuses. One quiet Sunday morning, my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check. "Can you help me with rent this month? Please, just a little." No introduction. No apology. Just that. I stared at the message for a long time. I could picture her sitting somewhere cheap, maybe a dim apartment, maybe the same room she used to mock, typing those words with shaking hands. It wasn't anger that filled me. It was clarity. I set my phone down, poured another cup of coffee, and let the message sit unanswered. Because sometimes silence teaches harder lessons than words ever can. She needed that. Silence. I needed the peace that came with not replying. I started therapy soon after. I thought it would be just talking, but it turned into something deeper, like unlearning the reflex to blame myself for other people's choices. Every session felt like peeling off another layer of armor until I could finally breathe again. One day my therapist asked, if you could go back and stop her from cheating, would you? I sat there for a long time before saying no. She looked surprised. Why not? Because if I hadn't gone through it, I said, I'd still be the man who believes love means sacrificing yourself to keep someone else happy. Now I know love isn't supposed to destroy you. She smiled, small and understanding. That sounds like healing. Maybe it was. Months later, I was grabbing coffee when I saw someone I hadn't seen since high school. Jenna, her old best friend. She froze when she recognized me. Guilt written all over her face. Mike, she said softly. You look good. I nodded. You too. There was a pause heavy enough to feel like a confession. Then she blurted it out. I'm sorry. I should have told you what was happening sooner. She was lying to everyone. I shrugged. She lied to herself most of all. Jenna sighed. She's not doing great. Working 2 jobs. The baby's with her parents half the time. Good for the kid, I said, finishing my coffee. Before I left, Jenna said something that stuck with me. She talks about you sometimes. Says she dreams about you coming home, forgiving her. I smiled, not bitterly, just finished. Tell her dreams are safer than reality, I said. Then I walked away. A few months later, Lopez sent me a photo he'd found online, a candid shot of Erin outside that same restaurant she'd worked at years ago. Same logo. Same uniform. Different woman. Her hair was unkempt, the spark gone from her eyes. She looked older, not from age, but from exhaustion. Behind her, through the drive-through window, a man was shouting. She flinched, shoulders curling in on themselves. I stared at that photo for a long time. Once upon a time, I would have wanted her to feel pained now. I just saw someone trapped by her own decisions. Because the truth is, I didn't destroy her. She wrote her own ending, line by line. Lie by lie. All I did was make sure she had to read it. People talk about revenge like it's a single, explosive moment. A final strike that ends the story, but that's not what it is. Revenge is quieter. It's standing back and letting the universe balance the scales while you rebuild yourself brick by brick. For me, revenge stopped being about making her suffer. It became about reclaiming what she tried to take, my dignity, my peace, my sense of worth. When I finally cut her off completely, I stopped bleeding. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's the loudest kind of power. A year after the divorce finalized, I went on a short trip, just me, a rented cabin, and the kind of silence that used to scare me. One morning I sat by the lake, coffee steaming in the cold air, and thought about how far I'd come. I wasn't that broken soldier anymore. Wasn't the husband begging for scraps of affection from someone who'd already left. I was just me, whole. I didn't forgive her. Forgiveness isn't something you owe a person who weaponized your love, but I accepted it. She taught me everything I never wanted to learn the hard way, and in that acceptance, I found peace. Looking back now, it's almost poetic. I went to war expecting to face enemies with guns. Not the one wearing a wedding ring, but in a twisted way. That experience made me stronger than any battlefield could have, because armor doesn't just protect your body. Sometimes it's what your heart learns to build after it's been shattered. I still think about her sometimes, not out of longing, but gratitude. She showed me what happens when you build a life on lies. She taught me to never let someone else define my worth. So yeah, karma did its job, and I did mine. I lived. If you've ever been betrayed, if someone ever made you doubt your value, hear this. You don't have to destroy them to win. You just have to stop letting them live rent-free in your head. Let karma do its work. It's patient, but it never misses. And when it finally hits, it won't just balance the scales. It'll remind you that surviving with your peace intact is the sweetest revenge there is. If this story hit home, tap like and subscribe. Share it with someone who's been broken and had to rebuild. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't payback. It's rising higher than they ever believed you could. Coming home didn't feel like victory. It felt like landing on another planet. People cheered at the airport, flags waved, kids clapped, and yet all I could think was how foreign everything felt. The smell of clean air was strange after months of sand and sweat. The silence of my apartment was louder than any mortar I'd heard overseas. And worst of all, there was no one waiting. I dropped my duffel on the floor, looked around the small, half-empty space, and realized I had no idea who I was anymore. The army taught me how to survive war, but it never taught me how to survive after. Nights were the hardest. Sleep didn't come easy. When every shadow looked like movement, I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart hammering, thinking I heard artillery. But it wasn't Iraq echoing in my ears, it was her voice. You're not enough. He treats me better. I deserve this. Those words hit harder than explosions. I tried drowning them out with TV, workouts, alcohol, anything. But silence always found me. It was like my brain had built a loop that played Betrayal on repeat. One night, I ended up on the living room floor, back against the couch, clutching an old photo of us. She was smiling, her head tilted against my shoulder, sunlight painting us golden. I wanted to hate that memory. Instead, I whispered to it, never again. It took me a month to admit I needed help. Not from friends, not from whiskey, but from people who actually understood. The VA clinic smelled like bleach and coffee. I sat in a folding chair among a circle of men who looked like they'd aged a decade in a year. The group leader, a calm woman named Sarah, said, "You don't have to talk today. Just listen. Breathe." The first guy spoke about watching his best friend die. Another talked about losing his leg. And then it was my turn. I didn't talk about war. I talked about her. The words spilled out like water, breaking through a dam. She was supposed to be my home, I said. But when I came back, home was gone. No one interrupted. No one pitied me. They just nodded, understanding the kind of loss that doesn't leave visible scars. After the session, Sarah stopped me at the door. "You're still fighting," she said softly. "Just a different kind of war now." Therapy helped. But recovery wasn't a straight line. Some mornings I woke up ready to start over. Other days, I couldn't even make coffee without remembering how she used to hum while stirring sugar into mine. I filled the apartment with distractions. Cooking, reading, going for runs before sunrise. The discipline of soldier life became my medicine. Still, the loneliness lingered. It was strange being surrounded by people in the world again, yet feeling invisible. One rainy afternoon, I ducked into a small coffee shop near the base. The smell of roasted beans and old wood hit me like nostalgia. The barista was new, dark hair pulled into a messy bun, eyes that looked like they'd seen too much and still found reasons to smile. She glanced at the name tag on my duffel bag. "Michael, right? Latte with oat milk?" I blinked. Yeah. How'd you? Soldiers all order the same thing when they come home. Oat milk's the giveaway." She winked. I laughed for the first time in months. We started talking small things at first. Music, books, the weird way people think. "Thank you for your service, fixes everything." Her name was Lena. She was finishing school for psychology, working part-time to cover tuition. For the next few weeks, I found excuses to stop by. She never pried, never asked about my past. She just made me coffee and talked about life like it was something you could start over from any time. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was alive. A few months later, Sarah asked me to write a letter. Not to send, just to get everything out. So I sat at my desk, cracked my knuckles, and wrote to Aaron, "You broke me in ways bullets never could, but I survived you. I survived Iraq. I survived the loneliness. I even survived loving someone who never deserved it. You didn't win. You just taught me how to fight smarter." I read it aloud once, then burned it in a metal bowl. The paper curled and blackened, flames licking away 6 years of pain. When it was gone, I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath since the day I deployed. Lina and I eventually started seeing each other outside the coffee shop. Dinner once, then twice. Then a walk through the park where the city lights reflected on wet pavement. I was honest about my scars, both the visible and invisible ones. She didn't flinch. One night, she said, "You don't have to be fixed to be worth loving." That line hit me harder than any therapy session. I realized I'd been waiting for someone to give me permission to move on. Turns out, I'd had that permission all along. Healing isn't clean. One evening, months into dating, I saw Aaron's name pop up on my phone again. Blocked number. New attempt. The message read, "I heard you're seeing someone. I hope she treats you better than I did. I still think about you." For a moment, old emotions stirred, the hurt, the confusion, but this time, I didn't spiral. I just stared at the message, smiled faintly, and deleted it, because closure isn't always something they give you. Sometimes, it's the silence that you choose. That year, I re-enlisted, not out of anger, but purpose. I trained new recruits, taught them discipline, resilience, and most importantly, how to keep your mind sharper than your weapon. Every lesson I gave them came from both wars I'd survived, one overseas and the one at home. The men respected me. They didn't know my story, but they saw something in my calmness. They called it steel nerves. I just called it freedom. On the anniversary of my return home, I drove to a lookout point outside town. The sun was setting, painting the sky in amber and violet streaks. I pulled out a photo of my old unit, smiling, covered in dust and grit. Behind them, you could almost see the ghost of the man I used to be. I whispered into the wind, "I made it." And for the first time, I believed it. I thought my story ended when she lost everything, but real revenge isn't what you do to them. It's who you become after they're gone. You don't realize you've healed until life tests the scar and it doesn't split open. For me, that test came on a Tuesday that felt like any other gray sky, drizzle turning the streets into mirrors. The kind of day when everything looks like a memory. I had an errand at the county building, renewing paperwork, signing a few forms, the kind of civilian chores that still feel strange in my hands. I took a number, sat in a molded plastic chair, and scrolled through emails. The lobby smelled like wet coats and old carpet. A baby wailed somewhere down the hall. A clock ticked too loudly. Next, a clerk called. I stood, and then I saw her. Aaron was at the far window, talking to a woman behind the glass, hair pulled into a messy bun, jacket too thin for the weather. She looked smaller, not thinner in a glamorous way. Smaller, like someone had scooped out the brightness and left the outline. A little boy leaned against her leg, tugging at a zipper on her backpack. Big eyes, tired eyes. He couldn't have been more than 3. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The lobby noise, the clock, the rain. My mind tried to pull me backward, back into the nights I'd begged for a truth she wouldn't give, back into desert wind and humming generators, and a phone lighting up with her lies. But the feeling didn't own me anymore. It passed like a wave and left me standing on dry sand. I could have turned away. I could have walked out and kept the perfect distance I'd built. Instead, I took a breath and stepped forward. She noticed me the way you notice a ghost twice. A flicker, a double take, and then full recognition. "Mike?" she said, voice cracking on the single syllable. The boy looked up at me, curious, not frightened. He had a little cowlick that refused to lie flat. "Hi," I said. Neutral, peaceful, the kind of hi you give a stranger in a line that isn't going anywhere. Fast. We stared at each other for a moment. Two people who used to share everything now sharing public air and nothing else. Didn't know you were in town, she said. I live here, I answered. Oh. She looked at the floor, then back at me, blinking hard. You look good, thanks. We stood there in the kind of silence that would have once felt like a cliff edge. It felt like a hallway now long, but with exits. The clerk called her name. Erin fumbled a stack of forms and moved to the window again. I might have walked away then, except the boy wandered toward the fish tank in the corner and pressed his hands to the glass, fascinated by a lazy goldfish doing criminally little with its life. Buddy, I said, without thinking, if you tap, they get shy. He looked up at me, solemn. Fish don't like knocking? Not their favorite. He considered this wisdom, then held his hands very still. I'm Ethan, he whispered, too loudly for a whisper. Nice to meet you, Ethan, I said. I'm Mike. Erin glanced back when she heard his name. I saw the panic in her eyes, the fear that I'd judge her, that I'd look at the boy and see a ledger of debts she could never pay. But I only nodded. Not to her, to him. A simple hello to a small person in a big world. Her business finished, she corralled him gently and stepped closer. Can we talk? Just for a minute? I weighed it. The old me would have tried to anticipate the outcome, map the emotional terrain. The healed me understood I didn't need to. I could leave or I could stay, and either way I'd be okay. Sure, I said. We walked to a quieter hallway where a flickering exit sign cast an emergency red over everything. She kept a palm on Ethan's head like you do when part of your heart has legs. I owe you a lot of apologies, she began, words tumbling out. I was selfish and stupid and... You don't have to, I said, calm. Not for me. Her mouth trembled. But I do. I told myself stories so I wouldn't feel like the bad guy. I hurt you, and then I acted like you caused it. I've thought about it 1,000 times, how I could take it back. I can't. No, I agreed. You can't. I used to dream you'd forgive me, she said. That one day we could grab coffee and laugh about how young and dumb we were. But then I realized forgiveness isn't a prize I get for asking. It's something you give if you want. Or don't, and you don't owe me either way. I studied her face. Not to read it, but to say goodbye to the version that used to live in me. I don't hate you, I said. That was the first step. The second was not loving the memory of you more than the truth. The last step was living like none of this decided who I get to be. She nodded, tears caught in her lashes. Are you happy? Yes. I didn't have to force it. It took time, work, but yes. A small voice interrupted us. Mom, can I feed the fishes? She knelt beside him. We don't have food, baby. She looked at me, embarrassed. He's obsessed. Hold on, I said, walking to the desk and dropping 2 quarters in a charity slot for a small bag of feed. I handed it to Ethan. No knocking, I reminded, as he beamed and raced to the tank. Erin watched him, love and exhaustion braided tight. He didn't ask for any of this, she said. I'm trying to be better. I have 2 jobs. It's not easy. I know, I said. And I did, in the way humans know, not in the way a man knows a woman he used to love, she swallowed. I'm glad you made it back, she said. From everything, me too. We stood like that a few seconds longer, anchored by the quiet splash of fish food and a child's whisper counting orange fins. There was a time when I would have searched her face for a promise, a window, a possibility. Now I only saw a person standing at the far end of a road I no longer walked. Take care of yourself, I said. You too, she whispered. You already are. I turned to go. She didn't call after me. Some goodbyes are so final they don't need the word. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. I breathed it and the clean smell, the alive smell, and felt something click fully into place. Not relief. Not triumph, just alignment. My future had more gravity than my past. Lena, and I found a rhythm that didn't borrow from old patterns. We hiked on Saturdays, burned pancakes on Sundays, argued about small things in ways that never felt like war. She learned the names of my fallen friends before she learned my favorite cereal. I learned that some silences are safe, that sitting next to someone without needing to fix a single thing is its own kind of devotion. When she asked about Aaron, I didn't fold in on myself. I told the story in fewer words, not to hide it, but because I didn't live there anymore. She listened, touched my hand, and said, "I'm proud of the man who made it through. Not the soldier, not the ex. The man, it landed differently. It landed right." On a late summer evening, we cooked with the kitchen windows open and the radio too loud. A neighbor's dog barked at nothing. We made a mess and left it for morning. I looked at the life around me, the chipped mugs, the scratch on the table from a move that nearly broke my back, the plant we kept forgetting to water, and thought, this is the opposite of revenge. This is reward. Months after the courthouse lobby, I mailed a short note to Aaron's parents. We'd never spoken after everything detonated. It wasn't an apology letter, and it wasn't a victory lap. It was a line of peace. I wanted you to know I'm okay. I'm not writing to reopen anything or to ask for anything. We all lost pieces of ourselves in that season. I hope you're finding better ones to replace them. I am. They never wrote back. They didn't need to. The act of sending it was the point. One night I had a dream that wasn't a nightmare. I was back in Iraq, but there was no gunfire, no rushing. Just sand and wind and a sky that went on forever. I walked until I reached a wire fence, the kind that keeps no one out and everyone honest. On the other side was a house not ours, not anyone's I knew. Smoke from a chimney. Laughter inside. The door opened and a child I didn't recognize ran out, then turned and waved. Not a ghost of what I lost, an echo of what I could build. I woke up with my heart steady. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt that. People always ask out loud or between the lines, did the revenge feel good? Yes, it felt like reclaiming breath, like stepping out of a burning room and smelling rain. But it wasn't the post that did it, or the account freeze, or the precise surgical way I cut her out. Those were just tools. Justice was the quiet that came after. Justice was walking past the ruins without picking through them for useful pieces. Justice was knowing I didn't have to win a single argument to win my life back. And karma? Karma wasn't mine to command. It showed up anyway, on its own clock, in its own clothes, doing what it always does, matching outcomes to choices until the math adds up. A year to the day after I saw Aaron at the courthouse, I jogged the ridge trail outside town before dawn. The horizon was a thin red wire, the town below still asleep. When I reached the overlook, I stopped, hands on my hips, lungs hot with cold air. 10,000 miles from home, I'd learned how to breathe through fear. 10 feet from my past, I'd learned how to breathe through grief. Up here, I learned something simpler, how to breathe for no reason at all. I took out my phone, opened a note I keep for moments like this, and typed, "You came back." You kept coming back until back became forward. I didn't post it. Not everything needs an audience. Some victories live better in pockets. The sun broke. I started the rundown, lighter than I had any right to be. If you've been where I was, if someone turned your home into a battlefield and told you the shrapnel was your fault, hear this. You are not the sum of what they did when you weren't looking. You are what you do next. You are the routine you build when the world is noisy, the boundary you hold when the past knocks, the hand you open when a better future asks for it. Revenge felt right when I was bleeding. It stopped feeling necessary when I stopped. In the end, I didn't need her apology to close the book. I needed my own permission to write another one. And I did, page by page, mile by mile, day by ordinary day. 10,000 miles from home, I learned how to survive. Back home, I learned why. If this story spoke to you, hit like and subscribe. Share it with someone clawing their way back from betrayal. Drop your own story in the comments, what you survived, what you built. what you let go. Because the sweetest justice isn't what you do to them, it's who you become without them.